George Springer, good postseason player or great Hall of Fame worthy postseason cheater?
You know, he didn't rip his shirt off and say that he was hiding something because of a bad tattoo, so the jury's still out on this one.
That wasn't him. That was Altuve. You can't blame him for that.
It's an Astros thing, Evan. We're lumping the Astros together.
No, this is not fair what you guys are doing to this guy.
We're lumping the Astros together,
He's a part of it. What do you mean it's not fair? We know it. They admitted it.
No, they didn't admit it. Well, they did, but they were not punished.
They did admit it. They weren't punished. They admitted it.
They were absolved.
Well, LA versus Toronto.
They got a slap on the wrist. They cheated. They won a championship, got a slap on the wrist. We are to believe that George Springer, after a free agency bag, goes to the 51st state, and then all of a sudden he's no longer a cheater? Is that what we want to believe?
So we think all of those 23 career postseason home runs. Which,
there's more. What did I say? 19?
It was his 23rd career postseason home run. It's tied for third most in postseason history.
Yeah.
So we think all of those are sus.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. That's my truth. That's my truth. I don't know what anybody else believes, but that's my truth. That's my truth.
As a Yankee fan, you are allowed to feel that
Okay.
way. I support these thoughts.
Okay.
Well,
I don't think it was anything out of bounds last night, but here's the thing. That scandal was so far-reaching in baseball and affected so many people that I do not blame you for holding a grudge forever. I don't blame you. I would too. We know I love a grudge.
Toronto v. LA. Not the first time we've seen this matchup, just the first time we've seen this matchup in the World Series. As, I don't know, will the two people involved with that matchup prior show up to the World Series? Toronto would be Drake. LA would be Kendrick. Are we going to see that matchup in the World Series? I'm very interested. You don't think so?
What?
What's what?
That's where your mind went?
How does it not go there? Everyone's mind went there.
Did your mind go there?
I didn't think about it until you said it, but now
Nuno and I were talking about it this morning.
It's a pretty good poll.
Okay.
Pretty good poll.
Yeah, it was all over the internet last night. It wasn't
I was living my life.
As somebody that is watching to see the Blue Jays go down in flames, I love the fact that Drake would attach himself to Toronto.
Oh, because of the
I
curse.
want that.
They kind of have to both show up, don't they?
He has to do that, right? Well, I don't know if he wants to show up if Kendrick is going to be there.
That's right.
They
Why
show
would
up
he
in their
wanna be
home.
there?
They show up in their home parks.
If I was Drake, I would
Drake
avoid him
should show
at
up
all
in a
costs.
Blue Jays jersey in Toronto, and
They're
Kendrick
probably begging him not to. Do you think they've personally reached out to him like, please, we've got enough already we're working against. Look at this lineup.
Yeah.
Look at this rotation. We don't need you with the jersey.
Yeah, NBA is tipping off tonight, Drake. Go, preoccupy yourself with that. don't show up here. We actually trying to win something.
Yeah, I'd show up to the Blue Jays over the Raptors right now if I was him. I'm just saying. I think one's in the World Series, one may make the play-in if they're lucky. But congratulations.
Drake is a front runner like you. He's going to go to OKC Banner Night. That's what he's going to do.
He's going to be there.
What if he shows up in a Dodgers
SGA
jersey?
is Canadian, and he has rocked the SGA jersey.
He'll be there.
Maybe.
He'll be there.
That's an interesting
I don't know
one.
if he's a front runner. Then wouldn't he put on a Dodgers jersey? Defending champs.
If he did that, I like Drake. If he did that's
fraud.
That's a step you don't cross, as Nuno said.
Fraud.
You can't
step you don't cross.
You can't wear the jersey of the opposing team. We got mad at what was it? CJ Stroud recently wore the. What did CJ? Didn't he wear a hat? I know Jalen Hurts did.
Jalen Hurts wearing the Astros hat in Philly did not go over well.
I thought CJ did something recently too with that. I could be wrong about that.
The Astros ain't even in the same league as the Phillies.
What are we doing?
And Philly sports fans didn't love that.
No.
CP3, Pat, how'd you guys feel about that? Not great, right?
What was the question?
Oh boy.
Oh God, never mind. Transition to whatever.
Yeah, we're going to
They are
transition
just
to
straight this
5-hour energy, which we
They are
obviously
just
took
straight.
before the show. We got 2 Monday Night
was the
Football
word of the day.
games to get to coming up. We did have the Mariners. What happened?
Wow, she slipped it in
Twice.
I didn't hear one thing.
She slipped it in.
What
right
did you
under
say?
the radar.
Twice. I said the boys in Vegas East are distray, which means that they are distracted or absent-minded.
I
She
swear,
is catching us slipping, man.
Come
on, Evan Cohen.
I don't hear today.
It's 2 days in a row, man. What are you doing? Open
I'll
your
tell you-
ears,
I'll
sir.
tell you in a break.
Okay.
Let's not do this now. Okay. So anyway, we have 2 Monday Night Football games. We do have the Seahawks also played Monday Night Football last night against the Texans. They got a win. And one of the sloppiest games amongst 2 of the best teams you're going to see in the NFL with Detroit over Tampa. We will get to that after CeCe, who clearly took a 5-hour energy before the show just to attack George Springer, who hit a 3-run home run to send his team to the World Series last night.
Yeah, and I'm still not done with the George Springer hate, just so everybody knows. Who knew caffeine could taste this?
Canty and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Job better done on this night by the Detroit Lions, who come in and win this game by a score of 24-9 over the Buccaneers.
We got a special group of coaches and players.
Jameer played well, though. He played really well, and getting that guy in space is a dangerous thing for defenses.
There he goes, foot race right side. You got no shot at catching that man. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 78 yards, a bolt of lightning.
You know, there's a lot of things to fix right now that we need to be on top of, and we will be. We'll be fine.
97.1, the Ticket in Detroit, Lions Radio Network. We are on Sportsmanline, presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance offers 24/7 protection when you bundle home, auto, and motorcycle. Learn more at progressive.com. In a game that was billed beforehand as a possible NFC title game matchup, which it still could be, obviously, we're not ruling that out, the Detroit Lions beat the Tampa Bay Bucs 24-9 in a game that, let's be honest, guys, was insanely sloppy. I could not believe how sloppy this game was. It was so sloppy that it included 4 turnovers on downs. The end of the second quarter, this is what it looked like. A fumble, a missed field goal, an interception on 4 straight possessions.
Yeah.
All of that said, give Detroit all the credit in the world. They won a football game. Their run game was excellent. They obviously held Tampa under 10 points when all we talked about going in was how banged up that Detroit defense was. And so kudos to the Detroit Lions, who now are going to try to stake their claim as the best team in the NFC.
Well, yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs was awesome yesterday. To me, that was the headline. Jahmyr Gibbs and that defense, especially the pass defense for Kelvin Shepard, defensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. They got after Baker Mayfield pretty good. They had 18 pressures on 54 dropbacks, 8 quarterback hits, 4 sacks. I mean, listen, the numbers don't do it justice in terms of how relentless they were being able to put pressure on the quarterback. And then, of course, the guys filling in on the back end did a phenomenal job. Guys finding ways to be able to step up and make plays. And I thought it was smart for Kelvin Shepard to get back to basics, back to the fundamentals of how they built the defense in Detroit, which is being a man coverage outfit. They ran a ton of zone coverage against the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't work out so well. With all of their guys being out, every single starter from the beginning of the season not playing last night in that secondary, the guys filling in found a way to challenge the receivers for the Tampa Bay Bucs in man coverage, and they won that battle. So on the whole, I thought that was a culture win for the Detroit Lions. To Evan's point, it wasn't pretty, but they found a way to make plays, and they dominated that game from the opening snap. So credit where credit is due.
Absolutely. And we talked a lot about how the Lions were banged up. Obviously, the Bucs were too, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You hate to see what happened to Mike Evans last night. But you said this was a culture win for the Lions, and I agree with that because this is something that they've continued to do. So they bounced back from a loss. This is what they've done for basically 3 years now. They extended their NFL long streak of 51 games without dropping 2 straight in the regular season. So it's almost like now if the Detroit Lions lose a game next week, we better pick them because this is what they do. They do a very good job of mentally compartmentalizing a loss and they're able to turn the page.
If you look at what Detroit did, CC mentioned their running game, but they also held the guy who many people think could be the MVP of the league this year to very little, and that is Baker Mayfield. 28 of 50, 228, a touchdown, and an interception. And by the way, Detroit was up 14-0 in the first half. Very easily could have been a lot more if they converted on some of those late turnovers that happened.
And too many empty possessions by Detroit, too. They had the turnover on downs in the plus territory. They had a pick. They had a sack fumble in plus territory. You can't give away those opportunities. But again, the defense did the job. In sudden change scenarios, they were absolutely phenomenal, especially early on in that game. With the exception of giving away that field goal at the end of the first half, I thought they did a great job. And that's why, to me, it's a good sign for the Detroit Lions because offensively, I know John Morton and Jared Goff will figure it out. And Jared Goff might have played his worst game of the season last night. I know they'll figure it out. But what I saw from the defensive side of the ball is what the rest of the teams in the NFC should be worried about. Because if Aiden Hutchinson is hunting like that, if Alem McNeil, who's back in the lineup and healthy, is hunting like that, then everybody else is going to have a problem.
I think Aiden Hutchinson and Michael Parsons in back-to-back days changed my mind on something or turned my mind into a question I think that I would like to ask on this. Should we be considering teams as to whether or not they have closers? Aiden Hutchinson in the fourth quarter was dominant. Michael Parsons in the fourth. Like, I think you need I think we should actually define that term for football more. Like, does that team have a closer on defense?
Yes. Yes.
And I don't think we talk about it in baseball. Oh, they have a closer. Like, conceptually, it's the same. We actually talk about it in basketball too.
Yeah.
In hockey, I'm sure it would be a goalie. Is the goalie going to close it? Oh, you have a 2-1 lead in the third period. Can the goalie close it out? We don't talk about the closer in football enough. Do you have a closer? Do you have someone when you're up 6 points that's going to sack the quarterback or pressure the quarterback or not let them get going? And what you saw last night was Aiden Hutchinson for the Detroit Lions be that. What Smalls' team in Green Bay had on Sunday in a bad win, let's be honest, against, like, they should have won by more if not for Micah closing it out. I think good teams need closers, and I think you saw that Detroit has that.
There's no question in my mind that they have that. That defensive front was unbelievable. Evan, they had 9 forced incompletions on Baker Mayfield. Just the defensive front. I'm not talking about the linebackers. Just the defensive front had 9 forced incompletions.
And that's how you overcome injuries in the secondary.
No doubt about it. Aiden Hutchinson had 5 pressures on the night. 4 of them came in the fourth quarter. So to your point, being able to have a guy that can close out the game, being able to have that pass rush makes a difference. And now you're seeing the difference in what this Detroit Lions team can be. Remember, Aiden Hutchinson got hurt at the midway point last year. They didn't have that presence when they were going through the stretch run, December, January football. They didn't have that when they lost to Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. But barring anything unforeseen, if this group can get to the finish line healthy, if this defensive front can stay intact, if that offensive line can continue to roll the way they did last night, then all of a sudden the Detroit Lions become the team to beat in the NFC. And I know that I'm saying that with the reigning defending champs and the Philadelphia Eagles being there. I know I'm saying that with Matt Stafford coming off of a 5 passing touchdown performance. I know that is lofty to put that label on them. But based on how they performed last night, besting the Tampa Bay Bucs, who many people thought was the best team in the NFC, you gotta give the Detroit Lions their flowers. This is a championship contending team, and they looked every bit of it last night.
So the other side, as we mentioned, Baker Mayfield. If we're going to consider Baker Mayfield one of the best quarterbacks in the league, we talked about him as a top 10 quarterback. We've talked about him in the MVP conversation. Do we then need to hold him accountable for a 9-point performance?
Yes.
Because it would be almost insulting if we did not. If we're going to hold him in the same regard, not as the big 3 of Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson, but of that next wave, whomever you deem to be in that next wave, if that person that you think is between 4 and 10 in the league had a 9-point performance, we would hold them accountable for that.
It's a sign of respect to hold him accountable for that. And I know that, again, they were dealing with injuries. The Mike Evans loss was such a consequential blow during that game last night. But he's been winning in spite of the injuries. He's been winning in spite of obstacles in front of him. And you certainly expected more from him last night, and you expected more from that offense last night.
So you see, Baker, if he's in that 4 through 10, this is partially on him last night.
Yeah, I think that we have to start having the conversation around whether or not the Bucs have reached the tipping point when it comes to attrition and all the overall injuries. Mike Evans gets hurt last night, broken clavicle, concussion. That's a concern. It's clear that Emeka Egbuka ain't right. Chris Godwin wasn't out there on the field. The offensive line has been banged up throughout the course of the year. We have to start wondering now, can this team overcome all of the injuries that they've suffered on both sides of the ball? Baker, to this point, hasn't been affected by that, but I thought last night the Lions got after him pretty good, and a big reason why is because he didn't have answers early in the down in the passing game by being able to have matchups that he could take advantage of. They were there. I mean, the Detroit Lions majored in man coverage, so you would expect that would be the kind of game where Baker could thrive because of the receivers that are at his disposal, but those guys weren't 100%. And Detroit took full advantage of that. So, yeah, a lot of this is on Baker, but I think also a lot of this is circumstantial. Even the quarterback playing as well as Baker was playing is going to have a hard time being able to deal with all of those guys being out of the lineup and those guys not being 100% that are actually out on the field with you.
So maybe we were so enamored by what he was able to do that we didn't consider that it might be unsustainable, that he can't carry that much on his shoulders week in and week out with so many injuries.
Well, I mean,
I still think you can, just not against that team.
They're injured, but I mean, so is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are every bit as injured. Again, their secondary is in shambles. Rock Yassin got hurt last night. He was grabbing at his hamstring. They said he was cramping up, but he went out of the game in that second half. I mean, they had guys that had never played on defense before. That quite literally never took a snap on the defensive side of the ball for Dan Campbell and the Lions. And yet those guys were calling the duty. Credit to them. They stepped up. They made plays. But, yeah, you would think that Baker Mayfield will find a way to be able to take advantage of it, and he just couldn't last night because of the pass rush was so intense. And then, again, the guys that he had out there were by name only. They weren't 100%, and they just couldn't make plays.
By my last check, ESPN bet Baker Mayfield MVP odds plus 375, second place behind Patrick Mahomes. That obviously may have dropped since my last check at that.
ESPN bet best bet came through last night. I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
Best bet came through last night. We laid the 6.5. That was a comfortable cover last night. I was watching the fourth quarter like, oh, we're in a good spot.
There you go.
I mean, we're in a good spot. Up.
Oh, it has dropped, by the way, plus 700, dropped big time.
It did.
Okay, so I must have got my apologies.
All right.
You know what? Good to know, though. Plus 375 going into the game, plus 700 coming out of the game.
Wow.
It's a pretty big drop. Pretty big drop. That's why you need to go to ESPN Bet for all your information and where you can win money.
Your fantasy roster is set. The